Hello, everybody. I am Peter the Book Lover, and this is Movie Talk. This is where I talk about three movies at the same time that I've recently seen. And I think these are great movies, and let's talk about them. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover, and I really like to read a lot of books, but I also like to watch a lot of movies. And so I started making these videos called Movie Talk, and they're pretty interesting. I like doing these. These are a lot of fun. I watch movies, and then when I come up with three that I recommend, I talk about them. And this episode has a particular theme to it. These are animation movies. One is a stop motion movie, and the other two are cartoons. There are also another theme that I added to this is they're all from books that I really enjoyed. So let's talk about them. But before I get into the video, I want to thank you for coming by. Thank you for giving me your time. I really appreciate everybody that comes and gives me their time. It's really wonderful that you're here. Thank you for coming by. Okay, let's talk about the first one. The first one is a book by Neil Gaiman. It was a book that he published in 2002, and this is a movie that came out in 2009. And this is directed by Henry Selick, and this is the movie Coraline. And this is a great movie. This is a movie about a little girl that just moved into a house, and she's got two parents that are very busy, and they don't have a lot of time to spend with her. So she goes exploring around this house. She finds a door. She talks her parents into opening this door with a key that she finds with a button for the top of the lock, the key. The key has a button for like the handle that you hold the key. And she actually opens this door. And when she opens it, she sees just a brick wall. Then later on, she opens it again, and there's a pathway. And she goes through the path, and she comes and finds another world with another mother and another father, but these parents have buttons for eyes, and these parents seem like a lot nicer, and they make better food, and it seems like a better world. But as this movie goes on, it's not as good as they thought it was. And then she winds up meeting a cat. There's a cat that she sees in both worlds, and it's a great character. I really love the cat. It's my favorite character of this. Plus, there's a couple of other people that live in the same house. One set of people lives downstairs. These two ladies that have a lot of dogs, and then she's got a Russian guy that lives upstairs, and it's a pretty interesting thing. And in the other world, these neighbors are in the other world as well. Plus, there's also a character called YB, or Wyborn, and she makes friends with him, and he's got another alter ego in this world as well. But the one in the other world doesn't speak. And yeah, and the cat though is the one character that stays the same in both worlds. And this is pretty much you find out that this isn't what you really wanted. You come to this world and you think this is better, but it turns out it's not. It's a facade. And this is a really cool movie. The thing about this movie, it's stop motion, and it's amazing. As a matter of fact, when I seen this movie, I seen this in the theaters, I didn't know that it was stop motion at first. I thought this was 3D animation. But then when I watched it again, I noticed that it was stop motion animation. And it's fantastic. I love this art form. It's wonderful. The music is great, and I really enjoyed this. Now let me give you the cast of this movie. Coraline is played by Dakota Fanning. The cat is played by Keith David, and he's my favorite character in this movie. He does a fantastic job. Mrs. Jones, her mother, is played by Terry Hatcher. And we also have Mr. Jones, played by John Hedgeman. And they all do a wonderful voice acting performance in this movie. Yeah, and I highly recommend this. This was a lot of fun. I seen this in the movie theaters when it came out in 2009, and I enjoyed it a lot. Then later on, I read the book by Neil Gaiman, and that really impressed me. I was amazed at how good the book was. And the book and the movie are, you know, match pretty much, but it's a little bit different in the book than it is in the movie. But both are fantastic. I really recommend either one of these, man. If you get a chance to read Coraline, even being an adult, you might really enjoy this. I loved it as an adult, and also the movie Coraline. I had enjoyed it as an adult, and it's great for kids too. Plus, it's got a message. You know, like your parents may not be the most exciting parents in the world, but that doesn't mean that they don't love you. So I really enjoyed this a lot, and I highly recommend it. Coraline. I think you should check it out if you haven't. Okay, the next is a cartoon, and this is a book by E.B. White. This is a book that came out in 1952, and the movie came out in 1973. And this has two directors, Charles Nichols and Iwa Takamoto. I think I'm saying that name correctly. And this is the story of Charlotte's Web. And this is an incredible book by E.B. White. I really love this book a lot. This is a book that I read when I was a kid, and this cartoon I experienced when I was a child as well. And this is a story about a runt of a pig that's about to be killed because it's a runt and it wasn't going to survive. But the character Fern stops her father from killing this pig, and she adopts this pig, and then she raises it. When it becomes too big, they have to move it to a farm, Zuckerman's farm. So they send him off to Zuckerman's farm. He's really heartbroken when they get separated. And then he makes friends with the animals in Zuckerman's farm. And then he meets a spider, and a spider befriends him. And the thing about it is he finds out that they're going to kill him, and he gets depressed about it. So the spider decides to save him by putting words in the web. And it actually works. The whole town gets amazed by these words in the web. So it's pretty cool. And that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to give away anything more. Now let me go into the cast of this movie. Now, Charlotte is played by Debbie Reynolds. Now, that surprised me because Debbie Reynolds is an actress that I'm familiar with. I really love the movie Singing in the Rain, and I know that this is the mother for Carrie Fisher. It's a pretty sad story because Carrie Fisher died, and then she died like 2 days later. And it's really heartbreaking, you know. I was a big fan of Carrie Fisher as well, Princess Leia. And now Templeton, my favorite character in this cartoon, is Templeton, and that is played by Paul Lynde, and he does a fantastic job of being Templeton. I really enjoyed him as a kid, and watching it again as an adult, I really enjoyed his performance. Great character, very interesting character. I really loved him. The rat that they had, they really didn't want to help, but he was kind of forced into helping. But he got rewarded in the end. Pretty interesting storyline for Templeton. Wilbur is the name of the pig, and that's played by Henry Gibson. Fern is played by Pamela Ferdin. Avery is played by Danny Bonaducci. Now, this is an actor I'm familiar with from the Partridge Family. And you might also know who he is. And he's a pretty interesting actor that I've known for years. And I was surprised that he was in this cartoon. And the goose was played by Angie's Moorhead. And that's the mother from Bewitched. If you ever watched the show Bewitched, that's the mother. And she does the character of the goose. And she's the one that tells them the sad news that pigs don't live very long without. So it's pretty sad. And but at the same time, this is a fantastic movie. The animation is really cool. This isn't as good as the animation in Coraline, but at the same time, this is very, very good, especially from 1973. It's got a little bit more singing than I would like, but at the same time, I really enjoyed this cartoon. It's a great cartoon. The animation is great. You know, it's Hanna-Barbera, and I really, really enjoyed this. And I think that if you check this out, and I highly recommend the book. E.B. White did a fantastic job with the book of Charlotte's Web. He also wrote Stuart Little, and that's another great movie. I enjoy the movie of Stuart Little more than the book, and also The Trumpet and the Swan, or the Trumpet of the Swan, or Trumpet and the Swan. That's another great book by E.B. White. He was a great author back in the 50s. Yeah, and I highly recommend this. And if you haven't checked this out, I would recommend this cartoon more so than the movie. I tried to watch the movie and I didn't get into it. As a matter of fact, I believe Dakota Fanning actually was the actress in this cartoon, in the actual live action movie. But I started watching it, but I really didn't get into it. I was a little bit disappointed, and I thought the cartoon was better. So, Charlotte's Web, I recommend it. Thank you. Okay, and the third one. Now, this one is a story by George Orwell from 1945. And the director of this is Joy Batchelor and John Hallis. And this is the movie Animal Farm. Now, the thing about this cartoon, this is the most serious of all the cartoons that on this list. This is a very serious cartoon, and I really enjoy this quite a bit. Now, what this is about is animals on a farm. They do not like the way they are being treated, and they rise up and they take over the farm. They have an animal revolution. And after they rise up and they actually win the farm, and they actually have other farms to where they connect, and they kind of, it's an animal uprising. And as the pigs are the ones that actually are the leaders of the uprising, and they wind up being as corrupt as the human beings. There's two pigs, and this is early in the story. I really don't want to give a lot away, but there is one pig called Snowball, and there's another one called Napoleon. And Napoleon actually tricks everybody to think that Snowball is the villain when Napoleon is the villain. Now, this was written in 1945. The cartoon is from 1954, but this character, Napoleon, is based off of Stalin, the Russian dictator, I guess you would say. And it pretty much matches his politics, the way that he was kind of the way that he did politics. He would lie and he'd turn people against each other. He was a very powerful character. Everybody knows of Hitler, but Stalin was another big leader back in the time of World War II. Now, there's only two actors in this, which really surprised me. The narrator is by Gordon Heath, or Heath? Yeah, Heath. And all the animals by one voice actor. It's Maurice Denham. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And maybe that's related to Carl Dunham, I think his name is. There's a puppet master that we know these days, and he's really, you know, the guy that does Peanut. I can't remember his name, but that might be his relative because that's the same name. And I'm amazed that all the animals were voiced by one person. He's a lot like Mel Blanc, the guy that did all the voices for Looney Tunes. Yes, and this is a very serious cartoon, but very entertaining. I was surprised on how much I liked it. This is very good. This isn't the first time I've seen this cartoon. None of these movies, these cartoons, are things that are new to me. I've seen all of these before. I actually seen Coraline in the movie theaters, and I really enjoyed it. And I was glad I finally got a chance to see it again, and I really loved that. And I believe I've seen the cartoon of Animal Farm before I read it. But Animal Farm is a fantastic book. I highly recommend the book. Charlotte's Web is a fantastic book. I recommend that as well. These are great reads. They're, well, not Animal Farm is not really a children's book, but the other two are kind of like children's books. But you could be an adult and still enjoy these wonderful stories. And that's about it. So that's it for this episode. I want to thank you for all stopping by. I've said that before, but I say it again because I really mean it. I really appreciate that you've given me your time as I talk about these movies because I really enjoy doing this. This is a lot of fun. If you like the video, please let me know by giving it a like. Please let me know what you think in the comments about what you think of this, good or bad. I love to hear from the audience. It's great to have comments from the audience. And if you haven't subscribed, can you please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the bell so we can talk about more movies together, so we can enjoy this together. And yeah, and if you leave comments, I always say the same thing to just about everybody that leaves a comment. Thank you for being here, because it's like you're being here if you leave me a comment and let me know what you think of it. Now, I've already watched one of the movies of the next video that I'm going to make, and I think this is the best sequel of all time. So, if you can, do me a favor, let me know in the comments which movie do you think is the best sequel of all time. And I want to see if anybody picks this movie, because I think this, for a part two, I mean, there's a lot of great sequels, but this one is amazing. It blows me away. I really love this movie. I mean, so let me know what your favorite sequel is if you can. If you don't, thank you. That's fine. Thank you for being here anyways. And that's about all. I got another video to make, a couple more to make today, so I'm going to get with that soon. But before that, I want to thank you for coming by, and I will see you in the next video.